Hey, we're back. I think I just kind of turned this on way too late. Blah. So yeah. Um, there's this thing, as I said before, that is frustrating me. That before you could like actually really do certain parts of game design. That's normal. Like there's some stuff you can figure out on your own, and it's not hard. Like let's just say in TTRPG rules or the stochastic, the probability part. That's not hard. You can get that because they're like actually pretty easy to grasp concepts, in my opinion. Similarly, when you design levels in certain in certain rule sets, you can make some really interesting stuff with that. The more you actually realize where the problems are, or where you can, or what you should add. It's just I kind of hate that nowadays there are not there are not a lot of games anymore where you can actually sit down and be like, well, I'm just doing that one part. Like if you have someone working with you, or build the game yourself. That's I mean, I don't know. You see me opting for point 2 because I don't have people. Oh, we have here tank superiority. Oh, that sounds fun. Well, why not actually? Let's drive some tanks. I haven't driven enough tanks anymore. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. No. Interesting that I know they have the BMP2s in there, but well. Ah yes, T90s. The one tank that was supposed to be so good and now it's basically gone.
They now have Delta Sector. We're striking an objective in Delta Sector.
You know, it's kind of funny how yeah.
We're targeting Delta Sector is ours.
Yo, you can't flee from me.
Hostiles control Bravo.
There we go. I also find it funny how people are apparently complaining that the biggest map in 6 is like the size of this map,
Charlie sector has fallen to the enemy.
just denser. But like, I mean, that's one of those things when it comes to design. I think a lot of people do not understand, you know, it's not understanding. It's like they feel the difference. Like that's a lot of times the case. You know, a lot of people feel the difference in terms of, you know, when it comes to map design. Hey.
We now control Charlie sector.
There's always a thing of, you know, it's always a thing of density versus, you know, high versus low density. That is more the case than actually, you know, small versus... What the fuck is going on here? Whee! Oh, oh no! Oh no! No, 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 no. Okay. Okay, don't drive into the rocks then. Also, hi, bot. Oh, no, not too. We understand each other. I mean, hey, you know, here's the thing. I don't have a problem with bigger maps, okay? Like, the problem is just most of them are not that good.
Charlie sector secure.
But, and also, crucially, you need to know why you make your map big. You know? Like this right here. If you look at this, this was the biggest launch map in Battlefield 3. And it's fine. This is like a map where everyone looks at and is like, yeah, this is a good tank map. Bam. No, 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 you don't. No, you don't. You don't. Okay. So, you know what? I forgot how much fun I have with tanking. So, hey, look, the map is big enough so multiple tanks can roam around, but it's also has enough blocking lines of sight that it's not unfair. I wonder if there is some form of design idea behind that. Yeah. I mean, I can see why people say, you know, oh, Mirror Valley looks dense. You know, that would be the correct
Striking an objective.
thing to say, but it's still relatively big. And then people are like, oh, where's the big openness? Do people forget that most of the big maps suck?
Control.
But I mean, then it's always hit with, oh yeah, but you know, I like the maps. Like, okay, cool, but like, do you even remember the map correctly? That's a big thing, you know? Like, I'm not saying, you know, big maps can't work. Hell, you know, when we're talking about Battlefield 3,
Charlie sector.
I think nothing exemplifies better that you can make working big maps
The enemy is
by the fact that this game launched with, you know, basically to just medium to large maps, with, you know, Caspian Border being the largest, and then staying the largest map until the Armored Kill expansion, which, and I kid you not, then just brought the biggest map in the franchise history. And you might think, oh, the biggest map, that probably was bad, right? actually no, because it was sensible. Because that's one of those things with design. You need to know why you're going big. A lot of times, big maps feel like they forget why they're supposed to be, why they're big. And that actually is harder to pull off than just, well, harder to pull off than you expect, because like a good example is, well, yeah, Banda Desert. That's like the biggest map still in the whole fucking franchise history. But why is it big? You know? The answer is actually pretty simple. Because they wanted to have tank combat. And they wanted to have tank combat and infantry combat well separated. Yeah. Get tanked, asshole. Oh, my fucking wheels are back. The tracks. Nope. Yo, what was that? Hey, 8 kills. That was pretty good. Let me just see. Yeah, BMP, who cares? So yeah, the thing is, the clue about Banda Desert and why it works is that it basically splits the map in half, and I mean lengthwise. That's a crucial thing. It basically has like a big center part with dunes, and we get to why this works in a second. You know, but actually, let's just put it up. Where do I have it? You know, we're talking about fucking map design. Let's just talk about it correctly, you know? And let's do this in a second. I'm just putting up the map in a second. First of all, we're driving a little bit IFVs. Oh, come on. Oi! Hey, another thing I do think people need to keep in mind when they design stuff is like, hey, do you have vehicles in your game? Okay, are there amphibious vehicles in your game? Like, for example, the BMP? If the answer is yes, well, you better use that. Which is actually kind of an interesting thing to me, why they decided to bring over the Bradley and BMP2 and then make an amphibious map, like an amphibious landing map, where the USA with the Bradley attacks. Not that this doesn't work, but also it's the whole, you know, don't use vehicle pools. It's a bad design choice, just overall. I mean, like, I'm very happy they ditched that with 6 again, but... Okay. Yeah, I mean, having big maps can work. Oh, God. You know what? Perfect. Time to actually go into the browser. No, browser, I don't want you to show the chat. The chat can look at itself without problems. I want you to show this. Okay, so. This is the thing. You know, this is like the biggest fucking map in the whole franchise. I think overall, they have like I think Breakaway was probably bigger before they reworked it, but Breakaway was ass, so we're not talking about this. So, this is a simple layout, but it works because it does two very major things. First of all, well, three. It splits the infantry in a bottom and a top section. There is a lot of cover. Second of all, it leaves the center part with dunes. Why are dunes good? First of all, dunes are kind of perfect for vehicle maps. Just like period. If you have a form of vehicle or especially tank in your video game, you should make a dune map. Because dunes have two advantages. First of all, they provide cover. So you can have this big field here where the tanks and IVs and tank hunters can actually, be below the dune and be sheltered. But dunes cannot be used for height advantage. Like, no point in this area, the central area, is high enough that you could snipe into here or here. That is crucial. Meaning, you can actually, tanks and stuff will rotate between those points or in between, but they're sheltered while, they just have a good area to do stuff. Second, and this is a crucial thing, you have two flags on the side here. Those will rarely see any problem because the key point why these exist is to have a forward base. So when, enemies start around, when you start around, some go here to capture the center part, obviously, but and also the center part is a free flag layout, so it's never an even split, never. And some can use this so they can spawn in there and keep going forward because, as you can see here, what bikes spawn there? And anti-armor thing. So, very good design in that regard. So, now you need to keep in mind, now we need to talk about why does this map work even though it's the biggest in the series and you only have 64 players on that. And, by the way, a fan mod actually bumped it up to 128 players at some point, and it worked fine, actually. It's pretty well. It was way more hectic, but still. Okay. Not getting out of here. The thing why this works is the size of this map nerfs every single type of vehicle, mainly air vehicles, that would be annoying. Let that sink in for a second. This is why the biggest map works, because it's not big to be big, because a lot of times big maps are not built to spread things out. But this one uses it to its advantage. Because as you can see at the deployment alone, you have a lot of transports, like 2 Abrams. You get a Little Bird, which is a small scout helicopter, and one transport helicopter, 1 attack helicopter, and 2 jets. Similar for the Russians, but the thing is, because the map isn't small, all of these vehicles are spread out. Even the AC-130 you can call in on this map has such a large circle radius that it's not a big problem. Like, it circles, yes, but like, it's never in any safe position. And this is why it works. Similarly, you have some elevated like cranes here on C flag, but you know what? Every other map that would have been just, between like C to maybe F in terms of size, you would hate it because, oh hey, high elevated position, and then someone just sits down with a sniper scope and is like, yeah, fuck you. But on Banda, doesn't care. Distance. You can legitimately just sit down and have a sniper up there. And because Battlefield is a series with heavy bullet drop,
We have first contact with enemy.
shoot how much you want, the distance will be too much. And this is, literally, also my bot, this is why this large map works. Because it uses size to nerf aspects that would otherwise in this amount be annoying. And so many other maps that are quote-unquote large don't do that. Aside from other parts that, there is not a lot of lock-on in the game, for example. Or, you have like the extra in between of tank hunters. Thanks, Seraph. Currently playing some just vehicle stuff and talking about how big map designs can work and how some not. Like, I have to say, I'm generally a bit more interested in close quarters maps. This doesn't mean that I don't like vehicle maps. I usually am just more of a... Yeah, let's play the World War II map with modern tanks. That goes well. Well, LAVs. Yes, reload for me, please. Again, I'm very surprised they didn't put this one in the selection for Americans because... But yeah, big maps need a point. Meanwhile, when I hear then some people say, oh, we could bring back something like, Golmud Railway from Battlefield 4, and like, please, no. Golmud is the opposite of why it worked. Or the opposite of why, Banda worked, actually. Like, let me just put it up again. We're going design analysis now. See, Banda, very big and spread out. Golmud is not that it's not that smaller. To a good degree, because Banda's just fucking huge. Again, biggest map in the series history, besides Hellboy. But yeah, here's a thing you need to keep in mind why this map just has problems. It kind of has a similar layout, but it just fucks it up to a degree. First of all, everything is just very concentrated in the center. So, infantry isn't, you don't spread stuff out. Everything is just concentrated around these upper flags, which you can demolish completely. And also there's artillery. For some reason, they have artillery trucks on this goddamn map. And now another really dumb thing happens. Because as you can see, everything up here doesn't spawn more vehicles. Nothing really does. So everyone just basically gets their stuff, sits over here, overlooks all of this in the center, and shoots. This is elevated, so if you have it, you can just shoot inside basically the enemy base. Good design, I know. And because everything here is destructible and everything is kind of small, guess what? As soon as someone wins with the with one of the jets, destruction. Also, it's the attack jet, so they're like extra shitty to combat. Yeah. And you know what the added bonus is to just make this map even worse? Because if you think, okay, they just split everything down the middle. The D-flag moves. It's a train. Like literally a locomotive. If you capture it, it moves towards your base. Fun. That was definitely something they needed to add. Like, I mean, here's the thing. I'm not against adding event, or like special destructible stuff that changes things in a big way to a map. But you need to be really, really careful about what you do with that. Because that's hard. And yeah. I know most maps, especially in 4, just never fucking did that well. There we go. Ah, yes. Let's.
Fuck this!
Ah. But yeah. There's always a certain amount of yeah, you just need to keep that in mind when you actually make maps, that you need to be like, okay, what are my assets? What is my, and people are always like, oh, I have a theme, I have an idea. No, 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 no. What you want, first and foremost, when making a map, is an idea about what kind of gameplay do you want to have. Because if you want to make a big map about, tanking, you need to be like, okay, what are things I can use about tanking, to facilitate better tanking. If you want to make infantry, do that. If you want to make mixed stuff, also, need to know what to use there. The problem is, when we talk about that a lot of times maps overloaded. Simply are. I mean, this right here is a mode where just, everyone has tanks, have fun. I don't care about that. We can switch from that in a bit. The point I want to make, though, is when I look, for example, at the vehicle selection and in maps in 2042, what I see is less a selection. What I see is a selection of maps that wants to have vehicles and infantry, but things just having a bit of cover is enough, because there's like usually pretty much a vehicle overload. And then there's the other point of vehicle pools, which are just kind of stupid. Again, if you want to make a map, tailor choose the vehicles for them. I mean, I know people liked Battlefield 1, but seriously, the fact that you were able to choose which tank you were deploying in was bad. And not to mention the goddamn air selection, because the moment the Russian expansion came out, you know what air got? The Ilya Muhammad bomber. I'm pretty sure that was the Russian one. And you know what? It was horrendous. Because imagine you can just fly over someone's head, press a button, a shit ton of bombs just fall down, and you make a multi-kill. That was it. And suddenly, this abomination was on every single map. It was just on every single map, because that had air. Wow.
Alpha sector is ours. Half their numbers have been eliminated.
Here we go. That's how you do it. Like... Okay, I'm actually pretty fond of IFBs. Like, I mean, I can think of designs that would incorporate
Objective in sector Bravo.
main battle tanks, but like,
Be advised, an objective is no
I just really like the idea of IFBs being used as, the main armament of both teams, because IFBs are just so nice and simple. Wait.
We have control of Sector Echo. We're targeting an objective in Sector Bravo. I don't like that area one bit.
Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Also, you know what's always killing a lot of map designs, and I know this is like kind of ironic to say, verticality. Oh boy, can I tell you about so many times where I look at the map and like, this would be great if it didn't have fucking verticality. Like, one thing I really like about 6 right now is...
Sector Alpha has been secured.
Fuck this!
It's the fact that most of them just don't have that much verticality. Because, oh god,
Be advised.
no, not flat planes. Like, I think, when I talk about verticality, I mean, like, imagine this. You have this town, okay? And like, again, I said before, if you want to make a tank map or any type, you need something like hills or dunes. You need cover, And there's a certain type of verticality that you need to use for that. But a lot of times games do stuff like, well, for example, Siege of Shanghai, where they have skyscrapers, and then you can just climb nearly all of the skyscrapers. Why? I mean, yes, it's not something that will completely break the map. It just makes everything really fucking annoying, because suddenly you have a map where you not only need to keep in mind, okay, where could stuff come from, but also, crucially, from above. And like, in pretty steep angles, I might add. There's a few things I can point out that, especially with remakes, where you can see, they were like, oh, we just made this accessible now. And then it just doesn't flow as well as the original, because... Ugh. Like, Strike at Karkand. Strike at Karkand is a map that was very deliberately, very... it was very limited in where you could go onto buildings. Like, there were like 1 or 2 on the whole map. The rest was, you were in the streets. In Battlefield 3, they kind of opened up all the buildings and you could go into the 1st or 2nd floor, and that suddenly, what was corner fighting suddenly became oh, you got shot from multiple angles at once. And like, you can, again, you can make maps of both things, but it's just always like, a lot of times, sometimes a map just needs to be scaled back for more simplicity. Like, how do you use verticality is one of the biggest things to answer, and I think a lot of times the answer is just, well, verticality is good because it's verticality. Meanwhile, like, god damn it, the Battle of the Bulge, how the fuck, that thing is open as fuck. Would be less problematic though if everyone just had, you know, no lock-on stuff. Die. Die. God damn it. Currently am, you know, very much thinking about, you know, map design again, so sorry if I'm just rambling a lot about that. Like, my brain recently just, yeah, hey, what can you do with that? What can you do with that? What can you do with that? So before that, I had kind of an, okay, just reuse assets you have in this game to make something completely new. It would feel differently. And yeah, one of the things I would have loved to use is the fact that they added the BMP-2 to the Russian side, so it's an amphibious IFV. And I think thought like, you know, hey, you could make actually a really interesting Conquest Assault map if you, good example here actually. If you think about it, the, you know, the river being like wider, more like here, and there would be a second one, you could have a map that draws down the river and upwards a hill in like a jungle, for example. So you can actually make it more close quarters because, you know, it's a jungle thing, but the Russian side can actually attack over the river and through the river with, you know, rib boats and etc. because they have amphibious vehicles. But also, if you have only like 2 or 3 IFVs per team site, you'd still have a map with vehicles, so there is some tanking going on, but it wouldn't be one where the vehicles are the focus, but the vehicles are support to the infantry. And we were missing that kind of map, mostly again because map rules, because you would need to specifically tell, no, for this map you are not allowed to spawn anything else in except those 2 fucking types of ISBs.
Fuck me!
Nah. Because else you have the stuff again, I can show you in a second in the menu. Which is again why I don't think map rules are good. Or, you know, vehicle pools are good, because vehicle pools are map rules good. Vehicle pools bad. Vehicle pools are just not a good idea, because yeah, every vehicle might be in this, they might be in similar areas, but also, god damn it, they might be in similar categories, but how they play and what they fulfill is completely different. And it just would make more sense if you're like, okay, no, you get that vehicle, you know, for this map, or one type of that vehicle. And you know, this is the funniest bit about for me, because every time they had the vehicle pools in their games, which is now I think twice, they always scaled them down. I wonder why that is. Because at some point, someone will make a map where they think, no, it wouldn't be a good idea. And then it happens.
We have control of Sector Alpha.
Yeah, right now, you know, things can't cross the river, but oh,
Sector Bravo, we're hitting an objective.
the IFVs of both sides can, because, you know, they are amphibious. Again, weird that they chose the Bradley. Anyway. Which is also why I do think we probably will see some form of vehicular subfaction in 6, because they probably will make some that are amphibious, because that just makes too much sense overall. You know, splitting vehicle pools actually makes more sense that way.
One of our objectives is under attack.
And you can have one side, you know, one map pool have specific ground vehicle ones that are maybe more beefy, you know, can do more damage, etc. Go. Ah, damn it. Yeah. One went relatively well. Relatively. But yeah, I mean, I'm kind of also brooding about actually, you know, how you could remake another map from a game and expand it. Because I do think there's a lot of ways how you can expand on maps without actually breaking the core part why people like them. But that's hard. Like, holy shit, it's hard. Like, I rarely know in any game when stuff were... I mean, you know what? Fair point. You know what? No, that's a good thing to learn. Dunes are good. Like, okay, you know what? Unironically, add dunes. Damn it. Like, there are so many maps, like, where I can say, oh, okay, you know what? You see another one that's, that's actually really fucking interesting, because, like, so, there was this map in, 4 called Silk Road, and, here's an interesting thing about it. I genuinely think this map has some really good ideas. Really good ones, actually. Let's actually go back into the browser. Whee! So this is it. The idea is actually cool. You split the map in half, and it's, you know, and there's like a central army base you can fight over, and then you can get bombers there. The problem is just the fucking map. Like, okay, you want to see some bullshit about what I talked about with elevation and what to use when? It's this fucking thing. This is one of the worst maps they made ever. Period. And I hate it because there are so many. There are parts in there. There's parts and ideas in there that are really good. Because generally, splitting a map in half, not a bad idea. Putting, you know, a really good infantry fighting point in the center, also not a bad idea. In fact, great idea. Snowy dunes, ocean wave dunes, busted tank dunes. You understand what I'm saying. But yeah, here's the thing. The problems you have is on this map are literally. So let's leave here. I can rant a bit more about game design. You know, now I'm in my element. I don't have headaches anymore, just pure unfiltered rage. Anyway. Yeah. So, let's just go over the parts that work, and why this one failed. Parts that work, this center base. Generally, that's like where they have domination and TDM mode set, and people love it, and for good reason, it's fun. That's just a good infantry area. The dunes. Why? Because they're dunes. They're like literally, hey, you have like 3 nice points, and tanks can go like nice between them. It's like really good parts for tanking. Good. This part, ew, because they kind of split. Again, they split a desert environment in half. It exists, yes. You know, there are dune deserts and there are deserts that are rocky. So sorry. While this looks similar, and by the way, as you can see, 2 jets on each side, 2 helicopters on each side, a lot of vehicles on each side. We have on one hand the US side, which is open. You know, if you want to get out of this base, you have the whole part here. And this is a good play area. This right here is, you know, the infantry area. Fine, you ignore that. The Chinese side, you think, you know, oh, hey, they have 3 routes drawn in. Technically, those are rocky deserts. So, all of this stuff in here between, you can't drive with a vehicle. Meaning, all of these players, in terms of vehicles, are smushed into a few areas. And they overlook this part. So a bunch are just standing here or here and just shoot into here. Fun. But, you know, then you have the big attack helicopters who can just also freely roam because, again, you have a dune map that isn't that big and put 2 attack helicopters in it. Remember how when I talked about Banda Desert, that it's it literally had, you know, little birds, mostly like small helicopters, and 1 attack helicopter per team. 1. This is the biggest map in the franchise history, and I keep telling you, one of the reasons why it worked was it had a limited amount of air, you know, really annoying it, because attack helicopters can be horrifying in these games. You need to really know where to use them. And the biggest map had ample ground vehicle stuff, and then spread the 1 attack helicopter they had out. This is way smaller. I think even smaller than this one. And 2 helicopters. You know what? Cloud Dunes would have been interesting, but also, it's still, they can just rain hellfire. Also bombers, so should just get bombed. And then, because that's also the fun part, remember how I said this side, the Chinese side, is corridors while this one is open? Yeah. So the Chinese can be pushed in and then spawn trapped because you need to go through, you know, small areas. So if the, you know, if the US team just gets one of those bases, fuck you. I mean, you know what? The original thing we called is spawn raid because that's what it was. You could rarely break out. It was like imbalanced as fuck. And you know what the funniest part about this is? If this map was not split with the Chinese side being rocky and the US side being dunes, but, you know, the US side was up here and the Chinese side was down here, and you had a rocky area and you had everything, like, you just switched where they were and also removed a bit of the air stuff. this map would flow a lot better because you would have a lot of open areas to fight in and smaller stuff where, you know, the infantry had a more equal playing field. And, you know, I will take this away even though she's not looking at it, but if you're now saying, wait a second, a rocky upper part and a more open lower part, this is just Desert Siege. Yes, it is fucking Desert Siege, I know. And if you don't know what Desert Siege is, I think Badness Annihilation, blah. What the fuck? Desert Siege Dry, there. Is it, do I get it now? No! Why? Ah! It's an RTS map.
Try
Total Annihilation?
Balanced Annihilation.
I tried.
Delta.
Oh yeah. Why did I say desert?
Because it is a desert at that point.
What?
Because it is a desert at that point.
Yeah, right. Where is it? I can't. They don't even have a layout. Oh my god. Ah, Delta Siege Dry. Maybe I just look for Delta Siege
There
Dry.
it is.
There we have it.
It's a bit squished. You need to
It's
open it.
squished. But yeah, I mean, oh, you know, here's it's.
Yeah, no. That's also wrong. Go back. There, that's
Ah.
okay.
Yeah. That's an RTS map. I mean, in the original one, there was, you know, water, I think, down here.
Yeah, that was Delta Siege.
But, like, you see what I mean with how they could have fixed this. Because if they made it so that each side had a rock area and each side had a dune area, so, you know, spawns on this end, wow. Wouldn't fully fix all the problems, but it would have made it a lot fairer. Nia is pointing at maps and being angry. What an evening. But yeah, this is also one thing I want to point out. Again, kiddos, if you ever work on shooter games with vehicles, okay? And by the way, make one. I like them. Seriously, don't do this. Okay? This works, but don't do this. Because first of all, wow. So two things are split, they're just split completely. That's bullshit. Then there's a lot of stuff that everyone can just access. Which is like, why? Hey, hovercrafts in the game since the beginning. Again, you know what the funniest bit is? You can't actually use them in the attack on the one amphibious map they have. Okay. But also like, yeah. They could have had them. They could have had, you know, maybe some swamp maps to basically be like, hey, that would, like, again, a swamp map would be perfect to just have a bunch of hovercrafts and maybe some IFVs, because, you know, they're swamps, they're wetland areas, so you can't actually have any heavy vehicles in there except on roads, and you still have trees. So you have coverage. It's good. Yeah. And it's like, there's also some dumb stuff, because here's the thing. Because when we talk about vehicle pools, what I mean with that is, when we go back to, you know, I'll just say Bad Company 2, okay? Here, vehicles. It's simple. US has a Jeep, Russia has a Jeep. US has an IV, Russia has an IV. They have a main battle tank, they have a main battle tank. Transport helicopter. Way they should have had put have also that one in the game, but in 2042. But then people are like, oh, but you know, the other one looks similar. It looks similar. It's not the fucking same because, you know, look at this. This thing is even bigger and has the side stuff. Put out that side stuff. Oh yeah, it looks similar. Yeah, but in terms of stats, it wouldn't have had as much. But now, here's the bullshit. So, this is why I say vehicle pools are stupid. Because if you go and, for example, say, I want to have a tank. You have a pool of, you're saying, oh, you can spawn one tank. This could be a main battle tank or the railgun tank. I like this vehicle. It's never used where it needs to be. This should have just been on some maps and added to other maps as a spawn option. Similarly, oh, you want to have an IV, a light attack vehicle to a degree. You know what you can choose then? You can either choose an IV, so Bradley or BMP2, which is already like... This one's pretty beefy, this less, but amphibious, so they are both completely different beasts when it comes to how you could design maps around them. Or you could use this one, who technically could also just be amphibious, but they are in this game for some reason, which is completely different than what they specialize. You know, they're like, this is medium range and anti-tank. This is close quarters anti-infantry. And this is fast but light anti-vehicle again. But you can choose from all those three. Map design will just suffer beneath that. And like, I like the Drauga in terms of what it is, you know, as a big drone with bombing capabilities. But again, now I think they made they actually, when they introduced the attack jets, you know what happened? They literally went and said, "Oh yeah, we're just making our own category for them." Before that, you literally had to be like, "Oh, you know, I'm either taking a jet, or you know, the big drone bomber." And then they were like, "Oh, maybe we need to rebalance that." Yeah. Similarly, hey, you have attack helicopters or stealth helicopters. One of them is very annoying. The other one, less so. I'm just... Oh yeah, you know what? Fuck it. We're putting in some breakthrough and I'm yapping more about Hourglass. Oh wow, another map that is like, they've kind of fixed, but... I don't know what to say. Thing is, I don't hate this one, but like, I'd say one of the big problems they have nowadays with making breakthrough is that they kind of make the sectors very samey. This isn't fully bad in my opinion, because you know, well, it just kind of is a bit balanced, but like, look at this. The thing about this map is, as you can see, it basically has 4 sectors. That's fine. Most of them have 2 flags. It's fine, or you know, 1. It's like, it's 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2. That's it. You know, pretty fine. The interesting thing is, if you look at them, none of these flags are particularly interesting layouts. B1 and B2, both kind of in a similar distance from the spawn point of the US team. That's fine. Like, this is probably the most spicy thing. Oh, you can cut through the dunes, or you can attack B1 first. That's the spiciest this map gets. There's like no more maps in the linear order behind each other. Map flags in linear order behind each other. And maps with longer attack distances are also pretty sparse, actually. It's always a thing you need to keep in mind, like, when you build a game about multiple objectives being fought over. And this is why I would say a lot of times maps like maps in Overwatch and such are pretty boring and forgettable. Is you need to actually know how, especially with attack and defense, how you design a sector. Because basically there are 4 types of sectors when you design attack defense, and this goes from breakthrough to rush, etc. And like in every single game, even if you have payload, that's fine. So basically, you have 4 types of sectors. Are either the I would say basically the free sector, and in the attacking team will basically get it without a lot of big problems. Now you'd probably think like, that sounds weird, shouldn't there be something? Yes and no. Like, depending on how you design a map, sometimes it just makes sense to simply have something that attackers can pretty easily conquer. That's the thing they had since, 1942 actually. Since 1942 you had like some Conquest Assault maps where it literally was, well, if the attackers got this flag, it became uncapturable and was their flag. Period. And the flag was usually kind of good to conquer, and it's fine. Sometimes you just want to do something like that because else the flow of the map will break. Fine. Then you have the delay map. Those are maps. Those are the delay sector. Those are the sectors that will fall eventually. Usually, and they're usually not the ones that will be defended, but they are there to delay assaults. Now, this is hard to design, but I would say getting delay sectors right is probably one of the most crucial elements of map design. Because a delay sector is one of those, if you go and you make, you place them at the right moment, this enhances the feel. I mean, there's a thing I keep saying, a lot of game design, and especially when you do map design, is just getting vibes right. Like, people are always saying, should a map be balanced? Yes, but how balance looks like is always different. Crucially though, a map should feel a certain way. And you have, sectors that can be more delaying, or sectors that can be, easy to grab. I would say, for example, Denver and Peak, the base jump sector. That's a sector that is a free giveaway. The map would just suck without it, though, because it's a base jump. It's just cool. But yeah, delay sectors are interesting because they're one of those. Yes, you can get through them pretty easily, actually. Well, not easily. You're not getting easily through them, but you're expected to get through them. But crucially, and hey, here comes the whole, we're going circling right back into good old dungeon design territory. You know what makes a good dungeon crawl? Resource draining and an attack defense situation is most interesting with, say it with me, resource draining. Exactly. So, if you have a map where you're like, okay, let's just say the 2 sectors coming afterwards, like the 1 or 2 sectors afterwards are literally the central final ones that people fight over, and they're pretty balanced because that's a third section, the balanced sector. Every team is kind of balanced in how they can approach a sector and attack and defend them. Then those are usually the sectors where you have a bunch of, you know, back and forth over flags. If you put a delay sector before that, it increases tensions because, yes, the enemies broke through, yes, they maybe got 100 tickets more, but they bled 135 tickets, and that hurt. You know? That's the thing. You need... here, for example, this is probably a good example of, again, technically going to the sector is longer for the... it's still kind of balanced for both sides, and just one flag, relatively fortified. Again, it's another balanced sector. And then obviously you have also the inverse, the fourth type. It's the, well, really defensive sector. It's those that are like... It's the ones where the enemy team, the defending team just has the upper hand. Using them is hard. If you know when to put them, and really make it like basically a really fucking hard thing to do, it can feel cool. Because that makes it so that, you know, like, oh hey, you're smashing your head against the final objective. Problem is just, again, vibes. What comes before that? Because if you look at this is all balance, 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 balance. This is fine. Like, I'm not saying anything against it, but this is only fine. This isn't interesting. If you have something where you can say, okay, yeah, the final assault is really fucking hard, you know, maybe it's like 3 flags and they're fortified positions. Boy howdy, those can be annoying. Then you still need to sit down and think about, first of all, what does your attacking team have to assault that position? And second of all, crucial, what comes before that? Because if you have a 4-sector, you know, attack defense map, and they're basically balance hard point, that sucks. Because, so you sometimes you want to have just a free point before that, just to basically be like, yeah, you know, without that much problem, the attacking team can maybe stock up a few more tickets, so, you know, the final smash against the wall is like especially hard. Again, you're basically just a vibe director when you make such a map. And this is why I would say, you know, a lot of Overwatch maps and such are just kind of boring, because they usually, well, hey, this sector's balanced, this sector's balanced, this sector's balanced, and this sector's balanced. Why? It's always the same feeling. It works. It's fine. It's not bad. But it's not... How do you... You know, it's not an experience. It's just aligned. Oh, man. Anyway. Oh, yeah, by the way. This is what I mean with verticality. Why? Why can people go up there and just shoot down? I know, because like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if people can just go up there? I guess on paper. Why? Could cut a lot of stuff, make more tight buildings like over there, and just have the ground war. You know what? Chat, do you have any map that you like? Hey, like from video games. Like, it could be an RTS, it could be anything. Just I'm gonna be like, wait, now what stayed in your mind, and why? Because I'd say sometimes things stay in your mind that are maybe not even that good, but they have some interesting stuff, and then you're like, oh yeah, I like that.
Enemy is assaulting Delta 1.
You're taking out the king of maps, Tensor. Sentence Clutch. Ah, yes. I mean, what can I say about Sentence Clutch, but it's perfect. Oh, someone is remaking Sentence Clutch in Wano. Oh, that's gonna be a shit show. Oh boy. Sentence Clutch. Oh my god, that is such a good map. Yeah, it's just, oh my god, everything is perfect in that one. But yeah, as you can see, you have, by the way, this one, you can see, tank, you have four things to choose from. They're all different. You shouldn't have a pool shared with 4. Why? You should be like, hey, you either have the really good MBTs or IFVs or mix, or the, you have to charge and then hit fire tank, or you have the fast rams. This one was, by the way, an IFV before that. You know what the stupidest thing is? If you think like, oh wait, look, those are anti-aircraft guns. Yes, before that it had anti-aircraft and normal IFV cannons. Because for some reason, they made one vehicle to be the anti-air or IFV of the game. And people always pick the IFV, and then people were like, oh, why there are so many helicopters on the map? Who does something against it? Yeah, guess what? The one vehicle that was technically anti-aircraft could just decide not to be anti-aircraft, which is just okay.
This is it!
You know what the dumbest thing about that is? And I know I'm ranting here. Battlefield 4, they made the absolutely insane decision to sit down and say, you can just decide if you want to have a defibrillator or not. Or a healing kit or not. Point in case, this was stupid. This was just so utterly fucking stupid. I cannot even begin where this is. Because, look, if you have a game, okay, there are certain things that if you add them, become crucial. And you do not want them to be random.
You were very fast with Sentence Clutch.
I want to get back to Sentence Clutch.
Oh, okay.
Still-
Tell me when you're done with Sentence Clutch.
No, I'm not done yet with Sentence Clutch. It's a good map.
Tell me when you're done with Sentence Clutch.
Okay, yeah. But yeah, the thing is, there are some things in a game that you need to keep in mind are crucial, like essential priority things. Like for example, if you have a shooter with multiple players, the decision can people heal / can people revive? Like healing is one thing, especially when you have, health regeneration. It's relevant, but not really. If you don't have health regen, it becomes pretty relevant. But if you have reviving is one of the key things that changes the flow of the game. So, if you have reviving, repairing, and stuff in the game, that is a key point. You should make sure that some form of your players will always be able to do that. To everyone. Instead, they just went and were like, hey, what if the assault could just ditch healing and reviving and just take underbarrel grenade launchers? And why was that bad? Because suddenly healing and reviving became a choice. And guess how many people choose to just have that kit on them? I did, but not many others. Similarly, if you have a game with air vehicles and you just decide that, you know, whoop, there's this one vehicle, but, you know, it being able to go against air is a choice, and everything else is you can farm tiny infantry on the ground, you know it's a stupid idea. Wow, I'm still amazed that this happened. Anyway, Saturn's Clutch. God, this is good map build. Like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's put it up. RTS maps. Let's go. Okay, Saturn's Clutch. Why is Saturn's Clutch good? And yeah, you're right. Like, it's kind of funny to see that people make Invano. It's, I think we have Strike Tactics. This is, I know what it is, but this is a Hex map. That's cool. I mean, it's just really cool to keep seeing it. Oh wow, Wargroove someone has made Saturn's Clutch. Probably even a good map in that game. Like, Wargroove had problems, but still. Saturn's Clutch. So, why is Saturn's Clutch so fucking good? Well, this is probably one of those few maps where you can say the layout itself is really good. And you can technically put it in like a lot of video games and it would still work. The problem is just Saturn's Clutch is so hyper-focused designed around the upsides and the mechanics of Supreme Commander. You cannot really separate it from that. I mean, technically you could remake it in something like, I mean, Total or Balanced Annihilation, but people just like to play Delta Siege Drive for some reason in that game. I don't know. Geschmacksverirrung would we say in Germany. Anyway, Saturn's Clutch. As you can see, this is a 4v4 map, which is rare to actually have some that really work well. Most of these are not that well. So, what makes this one interesting? Well, first of all, as you can see, it has everything covered. 2 sides with naval, 1 center with land, and 1 backwards with air. This is such a good map because every player has room to expand. You have 2 players focusing, for example, on naval, but can help out in the middle in a pinch, which actually, again, if you maybe just go a bit of, maybe
Depends.
Depends.
Because
But you
the
can.
naval sites are also mirrored.
What?
Naval sites are also mirrored.
Yes, but that makes it so interesting because, as you can see on the naval sides, one side has a slight advantage and the other side has a slight disadvantage. And that makes it interesting because it means each team has one powerful side and it's, never unbalanced. Which is, for example, seen in stuff like there's the small island to the side, which is just not a lot, but it has resources. So you really want that side. And similarly, because it's kind of a free capture thing for one team on, respectively each side. As you can see here, this player can just easily grab it, this player can easily grab this. So those players now have to basically decide, should they attack it or should they play directly or should they defend the island? Great. Or should both of them, if you actually get naval dominance in some form, can you swing into the center because naval ships are really strong at dismantling ground vehicles. So, yeah, that is just such an interesting meta game because it's like, yeah, one person has to fight the losing side, one person has to fight the winning side on naval, And then there is the center clash, because the center clash is also... Okay. Let me talk about why the center clash in Saturn's Clutch is a design masterclass that you cannot replicate on the same level in any other game if you don't copy the mechanics similarly. First of all, Supreme Commander means you have you start with ACUs. You die when your ACU is dead. Your ACU is your building unit, your first building unit, but also kind of your strongest unit until T4. And you can upgrade it also, but it can stay it. So, what is and another thing you need to keep in mind, you can recycle wreckage, and when a unit dies, it leaves behind wreckage to gain more resources. So, you have this small map that becomes, just shortly enough, for a short minute, small enough to become a meat grinder, with flanking options from the sea. And yet, this small part here, has, well, debris. So, you have a commander. So you start building your base, and the moment you have your standard base set up, you go in there. You want to build a forward base so your armies are faster in the front. You want to build defenses because there are gonna be rockets coming. And you want rocket defense. And you want to get the resources in the center here. And the enemy commander does the same. This right here is a headbutt. And it's perfect. Because this one design decision means there will be a very natural flow of how the game escalates. Because you have two commanders clashing. So everyone on the naval parts of the team at this point wants to gain superiority in their part and help out. Because if you can break through in the center, you can also control more of naval. Meanwhile, you have one in the back who makes an air shield. Because if there's no air shield over here, you die. But crucially, because there is an air shield from one behind, all those center players can actually focus on their one task. This is one hell of a tense position. I wouldn't even say start with that.
Actually, yes, you should.
You should?
Yes, that's the beginner position.
Oh, I like playing that position though.
I know you like it.
It's fun. You put bots down and then kill people. But yeah, the thing is, it's just such a good thing because the back player, makes you have air, you coordinate, you build artillery. It's just such a good design because what this map makes is perfectly facilitating all the various aspects of game design, of the mechanics of the game. It is perfect for 4 players, and it's just a constant, perfect escalation through every phase of the match. If we're gonna make a ranking of the best multiplayer maps ever made, Saturn's Clutch is gonna be up there. If it's not number 1. And you know what the funniest part is? I'm seeing Saturn's Clutch in Supreme Commander 2, and you know what? This one is worse. There are no islands. There's a reason the islands are here. The islands are to fight over. Right now, you basically made both sides similar. What the fuck? Don't do this. The beauty of Saturn's Clutch is that it's symmetric asymmetry. There is, both sides are like, yes, one has an advantage, one has disadvantage, but it's both there. It's so good. It's welcome to this extra long episode of oh, I forgot Subcom 2 existed. Don't worry, most people do that.
Subcom 2 doesn't exist. It was a bad dream.
Yeah, it was a bad dream. Hire me to make Subcom 3. I could make a good one.
Design-wise, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, hell, you know how I would design Subcom 3? I would sit down, look at what Subcom Forge Alliance Forever did, then basically just think about, okay, how can we go from that and make some more unique units that it's not the same? Like, for example, I would probably change a few of the T4 units and some of the T1 to T3 units. Maybe say, you know, there was a change in doctrines and stuff. But would probably keep everything else and then start trying to make a new faction down the line. But also just fucking... Islands are basically dunes partially underwater, so yes, don't move. Okay, Hyrolox. I know this is a joke, but yes! Yes, sorry, you want to make a naval thing?
Those are very high islands. You're safe from tier 1 naval there.
Yeah, by the way, look at this bullshit. This is good.
Are you done with Saturn's Clutch now?
Yeah, I'm done with Saturn's Clutch.
Good. Then I have something, a map you could look at, probably over the wiki of Set game.
Okay.
Caves of Kut, Golgotha.
Okay, you know what, we're talking about multiplayer maps, but yeah, I know
No, you
Golgotha.
said maps in the beginning. I listened.
Are we going here into definition territory?
No, you just didn't say multiplayer in the beginning.
I thought this was obvious from,
No. That maps from games that stuck in your brain.
Okay, what do we have here? Golgotha. You mean this?
Yeah, over the wiki it's the easiest to show everything.
I will do it in a second, you know? But yeah, actually, yeah, you want to have some form of naval combat in your game? You want islands. I'm not kidding. Islands are just kind of important to break sightlines. And yeah, they're kind of just dunes coming out of the water. But hey, I mean, this is a Dune appreciation channel. The book and the real life thing. But yeah, hey, you see this? Long attack, but the sector to take is really easy. Like, I don't think any attacker would have any problem with taking A1 on this map. As I said, this is an easy sector because it makes sense. You don't want people to die on the beach. I mean, you could, but it would make it kind of frustrating. And I don't think you want to redo Normandy. Okay, Golgotha, let's put this one up. So, dungeon. I mean, it's kind of random generated. Partially, but like, yeah. Basically, you have a surface level, which is like, I think you have these chutes to fall in.
Yes.
And then we go and you're like in the trash chutes. And those are, well, I think
That's only the way you're supposed to take. You can also go in... Well, you have Battlefield open.
Yeah, sorry, I need to be in there a bit.
But you know, in a surface level map.
Okay, yeah.
The northernmost part is technically the exit, but you can go through there as well if you found something to dig through walls in a way to get down the shaft safely.
That's not wrong. But, you know, that's a good thing about Caves of Kut. It just leaves you a lot of options. But yeah, if you fall down a trash chute, you are in the trash chute, which is like a certain amount of levels, and shit that is in here. It's cramped. There are enemies. There's goo and shit on the floor that gives you
I have literally the wiki open. It says.
yeah, here
What's there?
a lot of stuff. Sewage eels. You know what? Sewage eels and glow white cultists of Argol good. No, that sounds unpleasant. But yeah, you have like 4 traitors, and it's you have conveyor belts pushing you forward. There's a lot of goo on the ground that can give you just a lot of like, I mean, what's it called again?
Cloth trot.
Okay, that's one thing. I want to say in general, the general thing. Illnesses.
Yes.
And Glottrot. Oh my god. Okay. Glottrot. If you don't know what Glottrot is, it's literally your tongue rots.
Or that it also starts to get fissure-like things, and your whole pus is polluting your water skin, which is also your money. And
Yeah.
if you lose your tongue, you can't talk anymore. So people treat you badly.
Yeah. So not good. And then when you're through it, you are in the cloaca, which is basically just a big cave with even more sewage. And you know what the funniest part about these pools is? They're semi-random, and they're they're full of shit. And there's the slog of the cloaca
And sewage eels.
and sewage eels. But you know what? You know what the slog of the cloaca does? It's the boss. I wouldn't even say from what I remember it's technically that hard in terms of health what it has. It's just kind of beefy. Here's the thing. Its ability is to suck up the shit from the ground and spew it at you. Remember, Glottrot is just one of the things in this sewage shit. So basically, if you're unlucky, well, the thing just basically spews like illness goop into your face, and it's like lol LMAO.
It's not like the sewage eels help, because they wrap around you and drop you on your back. And then you might also drink some of the sewage. You can also get cloth rot or iron shank or whatever. And illnesses are relatively hard to get rid of in this game.
Yeah, so actually that's actually such a good idea in terms of design, because like you think, well, that sucks. Yes, but here's the thing. Golgotha is interesting because it takes something that you usually can avoid, aka illnesses, and basically says, get through it.
There's a lot more going on. There's one chute with infinitely spawning mini robots, where you have to basically just run if you get that one. There are several vents that shoot out poison or fire, so depends really. Because Golgotha is a very, very ancient, well, Gesundheit.
It's
Waste facility.
It's a waste facility, yeah. So, yeah. I don't know what to add about on this part. It's a waste management facility, and it just keeps churning and churning on the waste. And then it's... Well, that was rude. Anyway, it just keeps churning and churning and churning. And, well, it's just polluted as shit nowadays. No one... In case of cut. So, yeah. Ah, well. It's gonna be interesting, you know, in a few days, because, well, in a few weeks, because, you know, I do want to definitely see that I can start, I want to start building something in Godot, well, the Godot editor for Battlefield 6. after the game is out. So I still want to learn a bit more Godot. A bit. Because I have some ideas of what. Because, like, I do think one of the big problems they have is they have some good stuff going on in the maps. But also, you know, you need to know how to facilitate points in a game. By the way, this is where you maybe shouldn't have the ability that people can just get the stealth helicopters, because they can be really fucking annoying on, you know, close quarter maps where they can just keep dropping bombs. Anyway, vehicle pools are a dumb idea.
Yeah, ammo.
But yeah, if anyone has another multiplayer map they want to talk about, oh, don't give me that.
Just because you don't understand dungeon design. You know?
I understand dungeon design. I've been a dungeon master for a long time. Longer than you are, miss.
Yeah, and I'm still better than you.
Shut up. No, you are not. Make solid dungeons, but, you know, it's not that you're better.
I cannot go open that.
No. No. Then again, making a multiplayer map and making a dungeon is kind of a similar skill set anyway. Ah.
Take some ammo! Pick them up! Oh,
God damn it.
ammo ready!
Actually, you know what? I now stop talking because I'm like,
Take this ammo!
what to bring up next, and my jaw hurts now. Damn.
This might help!
I like map design. I've missed doing it, honestly. Again, it kind of sucks that like the last game you can really make stuff for nowadays is fucking Counter-Strike Fortnite. That's depressing.
You need ammo! Fred, eliminate it! Target down! Reloading! Reloading!
Yeah, let's actually look at the calendar. We're like 1, 2, 3 weeks away. I think. When is it coming out? 10th of October. So yeah, 3 weeks on a Friday. I'm actually kind of very excited.
Pick up ammo!
I do wonder if they are making like a final beta. I want to show some stuff at Tokyo Game Show, and you know, I know some people are like, ah, give it up, but like my theory that we're gonna get a Japanese subfaction in season 2 has not waned a little bit, because they just released footage of Battlefield 6 from which people say this is basically the launch build, and what is missing, the Howard 20 from the data mines. And like, the one Japanese rifle that is in no other game is not in the launch lineup, so it's definitely in one of the... It's a seasonal thing, and considering season 1 is already almost there, and it's probably gonna be very close. You can't convince me. The second season, it's gonna be Japan subfaction and set in Asia, especially Pacific Asia. There's probably gonna be one map in Korea and maybe one in the Japanese archipelago, like, you know, well, Iwo Jima or Okinawa or something like that. Because the one Japanese, you know, division that uses them is the Rapid Amphibious, I think, the Amphibious Landing one, and it's like, interesting. So yeah, that's where I'm standing. That's gonna be season 2. And Propaganda is like the remake map for that season. I mean, it's gonna be interesting anyway to see a Battlefield Hardline map in Season 1, probably. Even though they chose, you know, the one... I get why they did it. It's like, it's kind of hard to choose, but it's like... Come on, people, there are better ones even in California. Actually, talking about that, it's kind of interesting to me still that they chose Downtown, but it's just on a personal level. You know, Downtown is a fine map. It's probably the best they had in the base game. You know, with vehicles and infantry, because it's, you know, kind of a medium map.
We'll have to withdraw.
There's some, they probably just slap down like 2 IFVs and call it a day, and it's gonna be fine. You know, 2 IFVs or 1 MBT and 1 IFV and maybe a helicopter. I think so. You want something from Hardline that's also in California that's kind of better? You could use Breakpoint. Oh, it's a good one. What I remember. It's just, I know why. It's like, yeah, it's a big one in the center of town. Not all are in California. But like, Derailed is better. And again, who remembers the you know, who remembers the DLC maps of that game? Because you know what? No one was there for that. Basically everyone left, and you know what? It's a shame. Because imagine you know what? I'm just saying this very shortly here, but it's a goddamn shame what happened to Hardline, because people still keep debating, was it a real Battlefield game? The answer is yes. It didn't have Rush, but it was a real Battlefield game, because every time you play it and you're like, yep, that's a Battlefield game. It just has scaled down vehicle gameplay. It plays more like Battlefield 3 than 4, and yeah. And then, you know, we get into the all the other stuff where people are like, oh, you know, it was just forced on Visceral Games, and I'm just thinking, like, then why is it one of the best in the series? But then again, I can tell you, everyone who says Battlefield Hardline was just, you know, a rushed thing forced onto Visceral Games never played the game. Has no idea about it. Because, again, that thing is so good in a lot of ways. Like, okay, first of all, game launched, all the base game maps are solid. I wouldn't say there's like, I would say the worst they had is the block, and the block happened because they were like, we need a meat grinder map, and I guess they made one. The rest, hey, how about we make a lot of maps, just avoid all the pitfalls of, and they're good. I wouldn't really say anyone would stand out. I do think probably the two best ones are Derailed and Downtown. I would say Derailed is, in my opinion, better than Downtown. Or, you know, you can see it in both ways. That's the base game. Good base game. Solid lineup. Then they put out the DLC. Guess what? The fucking DLC is just literally one of the best maps after one of the best maps. It's just... no one was there. You know how frustrating that is? When you basically look at a game and then you're basically getting caught up in a discussion about where some people still are like, oh, is it even real? Or, you know, some people say they didn't want to make it. And I just say, being like, you know what? If they didn't want to make it, then why is it so good? You do not make a game that is really fucking good if you don't want to make it. There has to be some passion behind that. I hate that this is what we're talking about, and not the fact that it's actually kind of criminal that most people just ignored the game. For pretty petty reasons, actually. Because it was like, oh, it doesn't have tanks and stuff, and like, yeah. And you know what that did? You know what that actually did to the game? It gave it probably the best vehicle balance in the whole series. Period.
Push them back, but not
Yeah, there are no tanks in there. Yeah, I would say certain games are similar in different ways. 3, for example. I think 3 and 4 actually get how the vehicles are designed pretty right. Problem is just 4 overspams them all the time. Hardline? Hardline is like, you can shoot at every vehicle except the special armored ones. And with every gun in the game and do damage. Think about that for a second. This is a game where you don't need to fear about the fact that if there's a tank, I don't have anything against it. Because you can just shoot at it. There is no attack helicopters, there are no planes, you just have maybe very simple helicopters and, you know, for transport, and that's it. Everything else is just a car with maybe some stuff planted into it. Again, the biggest they have are like, I think, armored cars and slash, I think, mobile command cars. Because those are armored, so you can't actually shoot them, but also they're spawn points. They are not, you know, they don't have cannons, they just have like, they just have MGs. It's fine. It's like, really not a lot. And you know, on top of that, you then have really good design. Like, they put a whole map in a museum, indoors, and it's good. Like, that's how good this game is. It's like, and I keep doing that. It's just, I wouldn't say there's like one bad DLC map in Hardline. They are all really good. But yeah, most people never stuck around, and it's a shame. Anyway. Sorry if I'm just going down a bit with talking, because I had a high and now I'm plunging again, and wow.
Looking for targets!
Water pots are so annoying. It's one of those things where I'd say, also, Hardline never had lock-ons. The best you had were grenade launchers. Seriously. It's probably one of those things where people do like, to a degree, World War II settings, because there's no, like, a lot of modern technology stuff. You just have, basically, That's right. Shoot people, don't talk.
Secure this sector.
But, I mean, like, most games are more fun if you don't need lock-on. And, I mean, this is getting now a bit harder to pass. Because, yeah. For example, if you look at Battlefield 3 to Battlefield 4, and what I say why I like 3 more, especially, no matter what some people try to claim 3 is the better game. The way to attack vehicles was a rocket launcher, and it's dumbfire, shoulder-mounted rocket launcher. That's kind of important, because the only lock-on you had, well, I think you still had stingers, but like the thing about the stinger was the lock-on was fucking long, you know, except when things was marked, and then you could actually be like, okay, yeah. Basically, you had dumbfire rocket launchers, and you had stingers was javelins, was it? Anyway, and you had stingers. But you know what this meant? You had, against every ground target, it was, you have to aim, or fuck you. That's it. Either you could aim, or not. Let me put look down here. Yeah, there was the javelin, but the thing about the javelin in 3 was really long lock-on time. You know, if you didn't have something to also tag vehicles, then it was pretty strong, but that was it. You know, you had to work together for recon. Boom. So people used the dumbfire rockets or the stinger, and this was an interesting thing because dumbfire ones, good. You can just, you know, shoot at vehicles, but you have to shoot. If you shoot wrong and it misses, tough luck, that was it. You missed your shot. Stingers, on the other hand, the point wasn't that they were lock-on. The point was, if that dumbass pilot didn't move out of the way, they were dead. Interesting that they did change how that works again in 6, because from what I gathered, they made it a bit more realistic, and it's actually kind of interesting because in every other title, most other titles, I think it was in 1 before. But anyway, the thing is, if you press flares come out of the helicopter, and it basically leads to your any lock-on you have getting removed. So it becomes a lock-on removal. However, in 6, I don't know which one it was again where it was similar. The point is that
Foxtrot 1 is now
instead of removing lock-on, stingers lock onto flares if they are in between them and the helicopter. So, if you're flying, you actually, you know, can't just fly away and just pop flares, because then the stingers are just like, okay. You actually need to position yourself with flares between you and the stinger user, which will make it a lot harder, which is good. Fuck helicopter pilots, either you can fly or die. Which, you know, I should eat my words because I still said, you know, if someone compensates me, I will start learning flying in Battlefield. I suck. I'm horrendously bad. But yeah, only if someone compensates me, because I don't want to go through this fucking pain without some reward. Anyway, God, map balance talk. A lot of it today. Can I say, you know what? I want to say one thing again. It's too warm. It's too fucking warm still. Hate this.
We're out of time and resources. All troops evacuate immediately.
Well, almost done with that grind. So probably on Monday, 100% on Monday. By the way, do I have anything for you? No. Nothing. Well, it do be like that. Anyway, hope you had fun with my big rant about map design and everything. See you all around, and hopefully have a good Sunday ahead of you. And hopefully the heat isn't getting to you, because heat sucks. I hate heat. He should just be banned. I mean, yes, I know plants need it, but have a good night, and see y'all. Bye.